This week on Jerusalem Dateline, Showdown at the UN. Will President Obama take one more step to delegitimize Israel at the UN after his historic decision to allow what many consider an anti-Israel resolution to pass?
It was embarrassing that the United States abstained. I think it was almost unforgivable.
Plus, after the resolution, will Israel annex the contested West Bank? And a 2,000-year-old coin validates an ancient Jewish holiday. All this and more this week on Jerusalem Dateline. Hello and welcome to this edition of Jerusalem Dateline. I'm Chris Mitchell, coming to you this week from the Jewish quarter of the Old City and the center of a global controversy. Many in the U.S. and here in Israel are waiting to see what other surprises President Obama may have after the failure of the U.S. to block a UN resolution condemning Israeli settlements in the West Bank, Judea and Samaria, and here in Jerusalem.
For thousands of years, Jews have prayed at the Western Wall in Jerusalem. It was part of the outside wall of the Second Jewish Temple during the time of Jesus. Now, according to the United Nations Security Council, it's occupied Palestinian territory.
This resolution will go down as another shameful resolution, but it'll be thrown into the dustbin of history.
Just before Christmas, the U.S. abstained from voting against UN Security Council Resolution 2334, condemning Israeli settlements in biblical Judea and Samaria, also known as the West Bank. In doing so, the U.S. abandoned its longtime policy of vetoing anti-Israel resolutions.
It is unfortunate to see someone who claims to be a friend of this administration basically abandon us in such a profound way.
In a very long speech, Secretary of State Kerry argued that condemning settlements was the best way to promote Israeli-Palestinian peace. Israeli Education Minister Naftali Bennett said the resolution was like a self-inflicted wound for the world.
It gave backwind to thousands of terrorists around the world that want to destroy Israel, because when they see the UN taking such a crazy resolution against Israel, essentially saying that Jerusalem is occupied territory.
Palestinians were pleased with the UN decision. They hope it will force Israel to give them land without giving anything in exchange.
We know now that it was a premeditated move by the Obama administration together with the Palestinians against Israel.
Israel says it has evidence it will give incoming President Trump that the Obama administration helped write the resolution. According to a report by the Middle East Media Research Institute, the Egyptian daily Al-Yum Al-Sabi published the minutes of a secret meeting between Kerry and National Security Advisor Susan Rice and PLO Executive Committee Secretary Saeb Erekat. The minutes of the meeting reveals that the sides agreed to collaborate regarding a resolution on the settlements. The American side focused on coordination of positions between Washington and Ramallah regarding the resolution on the settlements, which was brought to a vote in the Security Council and adopted. It's not clear what can be done to reverse the effects of the resolution, but many are concerned that the upcoming Paris Peace Conference will deliver yet another international blow to the Jewish state.
When the UN Security Council passed Resolution 2334, they stated that the old city of Jerusalem, where I'm standing right now, was occupied Palestinian territory. And as you'll see, they either denied or ignored more than 3,000 years of Jewish history.
The UN Security Council resolution took the dramatic step of declaring all settlements in Judea and Samaria, also known as the West Bank, occupied Palestinian territory.
The Security Council specifically includes East Jerusalem, which includes the Old City. That encompasses the Temple Mount behind me, where King Solomon built the first Jewish temple 3,000 years ago. Jesus taught in the second Jewish temple about 2,000 years ago, built by King Herod. It also includes the City of David and Mount Zion, the location of the Last Supper. And below the Temple Mount is the Western Wall, where Christians and Jews from around the world come to pray.
We're going to continue to build, we're going to continue to be here, we're going to continue to enjoy the sun in the midst of the wind and the rain.
Moshe Kompinski is a shop owner in the Jewish quarter of the Old City, now considered illegal by the UN.
There's a whole different, almost jovial attitude to people who are coming here. They know why they're here, they know this is where they need to be, and they're sort of smiling and look at me. I'm the new criminal that's come into occupied territory. This isn't occupied territory. This has been the place of God's presence and the place of his people for 3,000 years.
It was embarrassing that the United States abstained. I think it was almost unforgivable.
Former governor and presidential candidate Mike Huckabee told CBN News that the U.S. abstention betrayed its friend and ally.
The failure to veto the resolution at the UN was not only a slap in the face of our friend Israel, but it was a slap in the face of Donald Trump as well, leaving a mess that he will have to try to clean up.
Huckabee believes the incoming Trump administration will work to reverse the resolution.
I think ultimately it's going to be reversed because I expect that Donald Trump and his administration will make it very clear that if this kind of action against one of our allies is going to stand, again, an anti-Semitic act of hate, that if necessary, I mean, I'd like to see the president-elect say, we'll pull out of the UN.
Trump has already sent positive signals to Israel with the nomination of David Friedman as U.S. ambassador to Israel and calling for the U.S. embassy to be moved to Jerusalem. In the meantime, Kempinski says the UN resolution clarified even more why he's in the Jewish quarter.
In many ways, it's almost like I want to thank the UN for making it so clear that their position makes no logical sense, no historical sense, and my position getting up in the morning, coming into this place which they claim is occupied territory and returning to the place that we've been here for 3,000 years makes all the sense in the world.
And there could be more. In the last days of his administration, many fear President Obama might try another move to delegitimize Israel. The most likely opportunities would be at the upcoming Paris Peace Conference on January 15th, or some other resolution before the Trump inauguration on January 20th.
Coming up, after the UN resolution, should Israel annex the settlements?
Well, Judea and Samaria has always been Jewish. In fact, the whole Judeo-Christian world believes that the ancient land of Israel belongs to the Jews. It's just open up the Bible about 4,000 years ago.
Welcome back to Jerusalem Dateline. Israeli Education Minister Naftali Bennett believes Israel needs to make bold moves as a result of the UN Security Council resolution. CBN News Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl asked Bennett about his reaction to the resolution.
Welcome to Jerusalem Dateline.
Great to be here.
As it's been unfolding, what are the consequences that you see for the UN resolution?
Well, it's more a statement than actual implications. We've seen since 1967 about 50 UN security resolutions against Israel, and we're thriving. We're doing just fine.
How much damage do you think it actually did do?
Those ambassadors that were clapping were joined by thousands of terrorists who were also clapping for the same resolution.
What do you think is at the heart of the resolution?
I think this resolution was a profound mistake. Jerusalem has been our capital for well over 3,000 years. No UN resolution will change that. No UN resolution can change history.
So do you think that Israel's reaction has been at all exaggerated, pulling back from ties with other countries in terms of the UN resolution?
Not at all. It's been a natural reaction to, being thrown under the bus by some countries. The whole world is in a battle against radical Islam terror, right? From Berlin through Paris, Brussels, Orlando. The whole world is trying to get their grasp around it. We in Israel are actually fighting them day in, day out. We're fighting ISIS. We're fighting Hamas and Hezbollah in Iran because we're surrounded by them quite literally. I myself am a company commander, and I fought these terrorists. When the one democracy that's actually fighting your war, the war of the free world, is out there defending you, and then you sort of stab it in the back, it doesn't make sense, and I think we're reacting quite appropriately.
Why do you think the West doesn't get it?
Well, I think they need to come and see it. They need to see what it means to live under a barrage of missiles shot by Hamas or Hezbollah. They need to see what it means to fight ISIS. When they see it with their own eyes in this tiny democracy called Israel, this miracle called Israel, I think they'll reverse their policy.
You suggested annexing Ma'ale Adumim and all of Judea and Samaria. How do you think that would look?
Well, Judea and Samaria has always been Jewish. In fact, the whole Judeo-Christian world believes that the ancient land of Israel belongs to the Jews. It's just open up the Bible about 4,000 years ago. So we would be applying Israeli rule on the Israeli areas in Judea and Samaria. It's been a long time. We should have done it 50 years ago, but we should do it now. This is my policy. I'm going to try and push this through in the government.
So then what would happen to the Arabs that live in Judea and Samaria?
So there would be an autonomy where they govern themselves, and they have a Palestinian state in Gaza, a full-blown Palestinian state. So the Arabs, the Palestinians already have their own sovereign state. They govern it. They've screwed it up, basically. I mean, turned it into an Afghanistan in the midst of Israel. But that's their choice. So they've already have their Palestinian state, and we have our Jewish state living side by side.
Why is Israel not going to this peace conference in Paris?
It's a farce. There is no peace conference in Paris. There's an attempt to force Israel to give up our own capital of Jerusalem, to surrender our own land to radical Islam. That would be crazy. You know, when you have one country out there that's fighting radical Islam and winning again and again for almost 100 years now, the last thing you want to do is cut up its land and hand it over to radical Islamists.
Why do you think it's taken so long for peace?
Because the Arabs and Muslims have not accepted Israel as a state. They don't accept the fact that this has been our land for 4,000 years, as anyone who opens the Bible can actually read. And they want to annihilate this Jewish state. We're not going to let that happen.
So Donald Trump, President-elect Donald Trump, he has been tweeting kind of positive messages to Israel. Are you looking forward to his presidency?
Well, we're certainly looking forward to working together with the new administration on strengthening Israel. Look at the paradox here. The whole region is in chaos. Just 2 hours from here, in Syria, there's a genocide going on where they've murdered 500,000 women, children, and men, innocent men, and yet the UN Security Council has done nothing. The one country that is doing something about it, that we've opened many field hospitals, we're taking care of hundreds of Syrians in our hospitals, the one free democracy in this region got essentially stabbed in the back by the UN security resolution.
What do you think about the idea of moving the embassy to Jerusalem?
That's a great idea. It's a natural idea because Jerusalem is our capital. I mean, all embassies in America are in Washington, D.C. Our capital is Jerusalem. It's been that way for 3,000 years. Just open up your Bible and you'll see it. I think it's absurd that it's not happened until now, and we're very much looking forward to having America be the first ones to place their embassy in the United Jerusalem.
Okay. All right. Good.
Thank you very much.
Coming up, millions of tourists visit Israel each year, but is it safe?
So when we got here, there was such a peace. The whole time we've been here, I have never felt not safe.
Welcome back to Jerusalem Dateline. When people consider a visit to Israel, many wonder, is it safe? We met up with some first-time tourists, and they found it not only completely secure, but a destination beyond all their expectations.
Much of the world only knows Israel from what it sees on television news or reads on the web. That typically includes images of violence and words like oppressed. But what's it really like in Israel?
Based on what the news media shows, many wouldn't expect to see shopping, restaurants, and people going about their daily lives. For example, this is the Mamilla Mall, just outside the walls of the old city. It's a combination of restaurants, shops, and cafes.
We talk with first-time tourists about their perception before leaving and the reality they experienced after their arrival.
What did people say to you when you told them you're going to come to Israel?
They questioned it. They said, do you really want to do that? Is it safe?
Did they say you were crazy?
That was a very common comment. Are you crazy? And I said, no. You know, nothing was going to stop me. You know, people couldn't talk me out of it. So.
And how did you feel before you came? What was it like?
Probably a little apprehensive, but excited. You know, we just couldn't wait to see where Christ has walked, and it was more than I expected. It was amazing.
Some felt coming to Israel might send a message in fighting back against the growth of terrorism.
I had some friends who said, why don't you come along? And I thought, oh, I'm not sure I should. It might be a little dangerous. And then I thought, goodness, life is dangerous. Really, I came from the Boston Marathon. I mean, there's so much going on that I'm not going to worry about it.
If you stop moving, the bad guys win. It's ridiculous.
Tuvia Zaretsky arranged their tour with an eye on ancient history and current events.
I told them I wanted to come over here and look at the world that's here and the people that are here and the places where the Bible events took place. And for them, it has been an eye-opening experience. And it's in the context of Israel today.
Samuel Smadja has led tours here for more than 20 years.
Israel doesn't come in the category of tourist destination. Israel is not the Bahamas. Israel is not even Paris. Israel is not even Rome. I believe Israel is the stage of your faith. And I believe coming to Israel will encourage you in your walking with the Lord.
And what was it like after these tourists made their leap of faith to come to Israel?
The Israelis really have their act together. Felt very comfortable. The people are wonderful, they're very professional, they're very caring, and they really want to make us feel welcome. It's a very sophisticated, cosmopolitan city.
So when we got here, there was such a peace. The whole time we've been here, I have never felt not safe.
And they did know Israel has been experiencing its own wave of terror.
They told us there are places you definitely don't want to go, but there are places in any city in the United States you don't want to go to.
Jerusalem Mayor Nir Barkat told CBN News, despite the current violence, Jerusalem is a safer city than most.
We have the best police in the world, we have the best security forces. Per capita, we're safe as London when you really check the numbers. So actually when I fly to America, I pray to come back home safely to Jerusalem, because the crime rates in America are 6 times more per capita than in Jerusalem.
And how did these Christian pilgrims feel after walking in the footsteps of Jesus?
Oh, it was quite moving. Yeah, it brought me to tears a few times. There's not another feeling like walking where Christ has walked.
I don't think I'll ever read the Bible the same way anymore.
Yes.
I've been so moved by being here. I would not trade it for anything.
And I felt the Lord with me through this trip, and He's been speaking to my heart and doing good work in there. And I wouldn't trade it for anything either. I'm so glad I came.
It also brought the Bible to life.
For me, it really tied the Old Testament and the New Testament together in ways that I could not have done had I not come here and seen the geography and appreciated the history.
I really believe that after you come to Israel, you'll never be the same. For several reasons. First of all, you'll read the Bible in a different understanding. You'll be able to visual whatever you read, and you'll be able to understand the Jewish Christian background of the Word of God, and you'll see how deep your faith is. And my prayer is that when you come to Israel, you will leave here praying for the peace of Jerusalem.
Up next, a coin provides a clue to an ancient Jewish holiday.
More than 2,000 years after, it's so exciting to see that the ancient clues are here, still waiting for us to find them.
Welcome back. In Jerusalem, you'll never know what you'll uncover if you dig just a bit. Restoration of an ancient wall at the Tower of David Museum led to a timely discovery of a more than 2,000-year-old coin connected to the story of Hanukkah. Here's CBN News' Julie Stahl.
Hanukkah marks the victory of the Jewish Hasmoneans, or Maccabees, over the Greek ruler Antiochus Epiphanes. The Greek king was trying to Hellenize the Jews, making it illegal for them to keep the Bible.
So here we have the ancient coin. In one side of the coin, you can see the face of King Antiochus with a crown. And in the other side of this coin, you can see a Greek god with the name Demeter. She was the god of agriculture. And the Greek letters here said the name Antiochus.
Museum director Eilat Lieber told CBN News the coin was found right near a wall from that time period.
Now try to imagine the people of Jerusalem, the Jewish people of Jerusalem are holding these coins, walking every day to the market, holding a Greek god on their pocket. It was against Jewish culture. As you know, the Jewish people are not allowed to show or to draw figures.
That comes from the Ten Commandments that says there should be no graven images or likenesses.
So this coin is a symbol of the power of the Greeks.
After the Maccabees overthrew the Greek Empire, their new coins bore the image of the menorah.
More than 2,000 years after, it's so exciting to see that the ancient clues are here, still waiting for us to find them.
The coin is a good reminder that empires come and empires go, and the plans of man in the end won't triumph over God. Julie Stahl, CBN News, Tower of David Museum, Jerusalem.
Well, that coin is also a reminder of the Jewish connection to the old city of Jerusalem that goes back thousands of years. Well, that's it for this edition. Thanks for joining us. Remember, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I'm Chris Mitchell. We'll see you next time on Jerusalem Dateline. And remember to pray for the peace of Jerusalem.